Minister, yeah, insurance, and we all know how important a subject this is right across our communities and especially to our business owners. In the Enterprise Committee, we had the Insurance Alliance in recently, Minister, and we discussed a lot of the problems which you're well aware, and I know you've covered those recently. But can I ask you about the duty of care legislation? When will it be published? When will it be enacted? And more importantly, when will it commence? And can we expect that very soon, Minister? I think you've been approached by a number of lobby groups telling you how important it is that this gets done because of the amount of cases that are pending, and unfortunately they're rising, not falling. Also, Minister, could I point out that a number of personal injury cases in the circuit court were reported to have escaped the PIAB process, as you know, and they ended up in the courts where the judges awarded well outside the judicial guidelines. Now, this was something we thought we had closed out, but obviously not, and there are some reasons why cases exit PIAB and go to the courts. But as was highlighted, I think, in the paper yesterday, you're looking at such a significant increase, and it isn't that the person bringing the case gets a whole lot more in compensation, but certainly the legal fees go stratospheric in the courts. And I'd ask you, how do you propose to close this out properly? Firstly, how are you going to get judges to observe the judicial guidelines that were agreed for injury awards? Secondly, how are you going to stop lawyers from trying to take cases into the circuit court rather than going through the PIAB process? And maybe you'd like to, in your summation, discuss some of that. The other thing I wanted to bring up was a case, I think it was in the paper yesterday, of an employee of an insurance company who made a fraudulent claim to say that they were in a vehicle accident when it turned out that they weren't. And it was found in the courts that they weren't. The case, if you like, collapsed, but the judge made no finding for costs. So in other words, rather than going to that person who was essentially committing perjury and awarding costs against them, he just left it lie so that the insurance companies would pick up the costs. And this is a significant problem in insurance the whole time. And if we're going to have people bringing bogus claims, there has to be some sanction and there has to be some grounding within the judiciary to award costs against that, and not to have it put back onto those that carry insurance. And the reason it's being done, obviously, is because otherwise nobody gets paid. And it's easy to put it back onto the insurance companies, which is automatically going back onto the insured. So again, maybe you'd like to pay something to that. And finally, something I'd like to bring up with you, Minister, slightly sideways to this. Recently, I was approached by a restaurant owner who had a claim taken against him through the Workplace Relations Commission for discrimination. And the discrimination revolved around an individual who came into his premises, requested to use the toilets during the mask process. They had a mask mandate inside in the restaurant. Customers were masked, as were the staff. This person was unmasked, and when they were asked to wear a mask, they said they didn't need to, that they had a medical exemption. When they were asked for that medical exemption, they said they didn't have to provide it. Management told them it was the policy of the restaurant not to allow access to the toilets unless they were wearing a mask, and then they left. But they videotaped the whole conversation, or I should say they put it on their phone, and they then went to the WRC, who then proceeded to bring a case of discrimination. Now, surely, Minister, there's a number of these cases pending. They are collapsing. But had this gentleman gone and taken the advice that he was told to, which was to engage a senior counsel and to engage a barrister at a cost of probably 10,000 to 12,000 euro to go and answer that case, which was an absolutely spurious claim. So could I ask, would you, through your office, please, have some word with the WRC and ask them to implement some kind of filtration system around discrimination? Surely these cases should never get to court and should not be oppressing hard-pressed business owners who are finding it hard enough to make ends meet at the present time.
Thank you, Deputy